This right here is my most favorite plant ever. This plant is my favorite because it is so joyous and robust. It greets me with peace and hope every single day during the fall. While everything is dying all around it, it blooms with sheer abandon and zero worry for the winter that's about to come. That's my kind of attitude right there. Now, y'all know there's a handful of things that this plant needs to be blooming like this. It's got to have sun and water. That's why it's alive. It's hooked up to a watering system that isn't me. Otherwise, that poor little thing would never make it. It's got to have bees, air, source of nutrition. You know, you guys know the list of the things that it needs to be thriving. But if the list is there and not working in great synergy, it's never going to look like this, ever. But this plant is a happy plant because those things are working together. Now, this plant right here is in the same garden. It isn't reaching its full potential, is it? It's really pretty. It's got a lot of awesome things about it. It totally works. There's lots of blooms, lots of greenery. But as you can see, this plant has been roughed up by the winds of miscommunication. I want to take a minute to think about these plants. And I am so excited today to share with you the recipe to have each and every one of our careers and each and every one of our practices look like this. I know that you absolutely can take the ceiling off of your career and off of your practice. We have an opportunity right now, like no other, to create the next chapter of our careers and of our dental practices to be the biggest and beautiful, most bright and fantastic version that we could ever dream up. I know there's a lot of worry right now about what's to come. And if we sit back and let it come as it may, I would continue to be worried. But I'm inviting each and every one of you to know that we have the capability to flourish like this plant. We have the ability to flourish as a dental hygienist and to have our practices flourish like crazy. The recipe that I'm going to share with you today isn't the only way. We all know that there's more than one way to do it. But this particular version I have been using myself as a clinician. I've been teaching in other practices and had an abundance of success with all kinds of practices from all over during the last 6 years. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brandy Hooker Evans, and I'm a practicing dental hygienist. I help run a practice in Pocatello, Idaho. And then I also have Stellar Outcomes, which is my exciting tool, my company that I use for speaking and coaching so that I can spread dental goodness far and wide. My goal and hope with being with you guys here today is to get a plan for how the heck we are going to get our careers and our offices to look like this blooming plant. Now, there are a handful of you that are going to be signing in from an educator standpoint, and a handful of you that will be in other venues of dental hygiene, such as public health, and there's a lot of other projects that you can be doing as a dental hygienist. And I really want to applaud all of you for every version of a dental hygiene career that you have, and know that I am supporting you and cheering you on from afar. Today, we're going to be doing powerful hygiene for a powerful practice. You guys, this is a brilliant hygienist plan to a thriving dental hygiene department and a healthier practice bottom line. Be the dental hygienist that your team cannot live without. This is my invitation personally for you to take the ceiling off of what you can enjoy in your career and what you can earn in your career. Take the ceiling off. This is our chance to work together and to figure out how to create a wonderful synergy in our lives and in our practices. So this can feel like a ton of bricks. There's a lot of pressure on us as dental hygienists because 90% of the patients that come into our practice spend 90% of the time there with us. We all know that the rest of the dental team is fantastic and we could not do what we do without them. And if you aren't sure, give me a call. I'll be happy to discuss how things could go better if we were all working together. But this right here is why it is crucial for us to be the irreducible need of the practice. Like, said in other words, the 90-90 rule means that as dental hygienists, we have to be so spectacular that our patients are connected to us in a way that they're going to keep coming back over and over again. And they're going to trust us and agree to the treatment that they know that they need. And we're going to talk more about that here in another minute. So the 90-90 rule is a lot of pressure. It's a ton of bricks unless you use that idea to come up with what's next for you. If you're spending 90% of the time with 90% of the patients, then the health of the dental practice really lies within you. So in reality, we're all getting to work and doing our very best to get through every single patient and have them be on time. And frequently we're back to back to back to back to back, right? We've got prophy scheduled at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're supposed to have a lunch, but most of the time we're trying to catch up on notes because, let's be honest, there's a handful of bloody prophies that had to happen today. And then the afternoon comes and we're running just as fast as we possibly can. And by the time we get done with that day, we are spent. We're spent. We're tired and we're exhausted. And the practice has been just kicking our butts. And yeah, we had a great day, but we didn't explore our full potential, did we? And here's one of the ways that we didn't explore our full potential. We were so caught up in getting on time and sticking with our schedule that we did not take complete and individualized care of our patient. There's another version of dental hygiene that's happening right now after the shutdown that happened this last March and April and into May. There's a lot of practices, a lot of hygienists that are clocking out and heading home because they don't have any patients. I want to put a pin in that right here. You guys, if your chair is empty, there are so many people that are at home right now and have been at home that are lonely. These patients of ours, you know, the ones that have gum disease, half of all adult Americans have mild, moderate, or advanced bone loss. When they become older, we jump to 3/4 of the population that has permanent damage. Plus, when you take into consideration that 90% of all Americans have a place of inflammation and infection somewhere in their mouth at any given time, we've got a lot of patients that are at home fueling the fire to their infection at home, okay? They're doing things that are hindering their immune system versus building their immune system. And we know that we are qualified and prepared to prevent the spread of disease. We know that the patients that are at home aren't getting cleaner teeth and healthier bodies sitting at home. Now, granted, my disclaimer is if you are sick, stay home. Absolutely. We can follow fantastic infection control protocol and be the gap filler for these patients that are at home and have been at home for a long time. This lonely population isn't healthier. This lonely population is taking it. There's a huge toll that's being taken on these people. And if your hygiene chair is full, will you please go sit down at the front office and give a couple of them a call? People need people right now. And I'm inviting you, if you are slow, to call them and say hello. And for everyone else that's busy and everywhere in between that empty chair and I can't even, think about your patients that could use you most right now. Sometimes just a quick phone call, hey, how's it going? Is there inspiration to come and see you or is there connection to humanity? Okay, great. So we're either working as hard as we possibly can to get to that next level, or we're clocked out and disengaged. Eek! Not what we want. But what if our typical day was this? Oh, you guys recognize him? Yeah, no, he's a good one. But what I love about this picture of Erin and I is that the hygienist, me, is happy and taking her time doing the things that she knows that she needs to do to be an expert and to take quality care of her patient. The patient is happy because he is having exquisite care provided by someone that he knows, loves, and trusts. Now, it's a joke. Not everyone all day is treating their husband, because our husbands can only get so many cleanings in a day, but you guys get my point. This type of smile, back and forth, calm, we're doing the best that we can do for every single patient, and we have time to do it, is what I am hoping for each and every one of you. So step one, this is a big one. If you guys want to have a beautiful, thriving career, if I want to have a phenomenal, thriving career, and I'm either with a practice or educating or public health, it doesn't matter where I'm at, we absolutely have to have our teams back. We have to stop living on our own island and, doing the hamster wheel, and have a fantastic conversation with our team. Why do we care about each other? What are we doing? What are our values? When it comes to treating patients that have gum disease or preventing gum disease with our patients that have gingivitis, frequently I will hear dentists say, oh, my hygienist wouldn't, no, she's not going to want to do that. She doesn't have time for that. And I hear dental hygienists say, oh, I will never have support. That is not a possibility in my office. You know what happens to me? I sit down, I do the assessment, I get the patient on board with scaling and root planing, and then my doctor comes in and tells them that we're good. Just floss a little more, we'll see in 6 months. Let's dissect that for just a little minute. You guys, no. Eek. Let's stop that. Let's stop the blame game. And then let's add in, well, I had everything, and then I had the doctor on board, but then my front office decided that they didn't have enough time to schedule for that, and they weren't interested in billing the insurance because it's such a headache. Whoa. Step one, you guys, we have to get together on the same page and decide what our standard of care is. I believe with my whole heart that if you want to have a phenomenal career as a dental hygienist, then you have to go home every single night knowing that you have done the very best you can for each and every patient. And when I say you have to, we must, I really do mean that collectively. The days that I show up to work and do not do the things that I know are going to give me the most happiness are the days that I go home leaving burnt out and sending my best friend messages about, oh, how worn out I am. But when I stop and I make sure that I am on the same page with my entire team, and I have everyone helping me and I'm helping everyone get to our best patient care, best day, things flow really well. So step one, you got to have your teammates back. And some of the ways to do this is to call a meeting. You don't have to be the office manager or the dentist to organize and set up a CE meeting. I have templates for you to use for your whole team to get together and get on the same page. I would highly recommend that if you feel like your team is not operating at its highest capacity, schedule a couple of lunch and learns. Be the leader of your team. You do not have to own the practice to be a crucial member that helps everyone get on the same page and to the next level. The second piece of information that I'm going to give you today is not new, but it is so hard if you're not in the habit of doing it to incorporate it into your daily practice. We absolutely, for no reason ever, can skip assessment. If you only do assessment and an appointment, then you are still winning. One thing that I want to say right now before we talk about the big 5 pieces of assessment is, you guys, this is our ticket. This is our ticket to being the expert. This is our ticket to knowing what the patient needs. And this is our ticket to a phenomenal day as a dental hygienist. It absolutely is. I know, I've seen it so many times where people feel like they can skip over this piece. But if we do not completely commit as an entire team to the necessity of assessment, we can't go forward. We just absolutely cannot go forward. So there are 5 main pieces to assessment that we cannot skip for any reason. They are the health history, a blood pressure reading, an oral cancer screening, radiographs, and a full mouth perio chart. If we skip, then we cannot serve our patient population correctly. This is your ticket to buying more time for those patients that are really getting bloody prophies / scaling and root planing without consent, which is illegal, so we don't want to do that. So here we go. So the health history. Why do we need to know the health history? The health history is important because the mouth is connected to the body. And we know that periodontal disease is a host response. Well, where's the host? I'm the host, you're the host, they're the host. What's going on with the host? If the host has a gamut of other inflammatory diseases or some sort of immunocompromising problem, they are not going to be able to respond to just normal treatment. And we have to mitigate the factors that are affecting their entire body, which is the host, which is the thing that's causing the periodontal disease to be as big or small as it possibly can be. Now, right now, it's 2020, October, and the fact of the matter is our patient population is struggling because we have some additional factors in the lack of health. We have people sitting at home, we have people worrying, we have people eating more and poor choices for food. So what does that do for inflammation? Well, it exacerbates it, correct? So if the inflammation is worse, then what is happening to the gum disease? You're with me, it's worse. The second thing we need to have is a blood pressure reading. We know that the cardiovascular disease and periodontal disease they're like best friends, that they either work together to be good or they work together to be bad. One of the things that I like to talk to my patients about when I'm taking a blood pressure is your heart pumps blood to your entire body and including your gums. And when you have infection in your gums, that blood takes the infection and drags it throughout the whole rest of your body. And you and I know that the things that are happening after the low-grade infection is being circulated is the liver starts releasing low-density lipoproteins, which then does what? Clogs our arteries, our vascular system. And can we just talk about the 17 million people that die each and every year worldwide of cardiovascular disease? We live in Idaho. This means that 9.5 times the entire population of Idaho dies every single year of heart disease. Friends, whoa! If you reduce inflammation in the mouth, then that helps the whole body function and circulate correctly. And less LDLs is better than more LDLs. And so we're looking at helping one of the biggest, this is the biggest killer, right? Cardiovascular diseases are number 1 killer. So we can mitigate the problems of inflammatory disease by helping the patient understand that their body is connected to their mouth and that cardiovascular disease and periodontitis are friends. And so if we want to do a good job for both of them, then we have to address both of them. Okay, and oral cancer screening number 3. You guys, we have had so many cases of oral cancer, even just in our own state. In 2013, 2 of our colleagues, one dental hygienist and one dental assistant who happened to be very close personal friends of mine, We're diagnosed with thyroid cancer. No, we know. Nobody wants thyroid cancer, but do you know why those two assistant and dental hygienists are alive today? Because of early detection and individualized care. Two of my favorite things. So an oral cancer screening can save someone's life. It takes roughly an extra 2 minutes. Intraoral, extraoral, look and feel every single time for every single patient when you come in. Document your findings and be so proud that you are doing your part to save lives. There's a lot of people in our population that have thyroid problems, not just thyroid cancer. So I find over and over, I'm the first person that's ever talked to someone about their thyroid. And frequently when they go and get their thyroid checked, they come back and say, oh yeah, I'm really grateful for that knowledge because I had no idea. And now that I've been doing the things to help support my thyroid, I have a lot more energy. So even if you don't catch cancer, which I hope none of you do, but if you don't catch cancer and someone feels better because you got them the help that they need with another professional, how fantastic is that? Here's the other thing that's going to happen. We just did health history, blood pressure reading, and oral cancer screening. At the end of the first 3 of our assessment, we have set ourselves as dental hygienists up as the expert. You guys, how much trust is happening between our patient and ourselves now because we are the experts. Oh, I'm so excited. Yes, we are. Here we go. The next thing we need is radiographs. Great. Retake them. You guys, retake the radiographs if they're not good. It happens to me. It happens to you. It happens to all of us. We need clear pictures so that we can have the tools that are required for us to be able to decide what the patient has and whether or not they have health, gingivitis, or periodontitis. Now, I want to take a minute before we go to this next piece. The fact of the matter is if you have a healthy patient, 1 hour for a prophy that includes all 5 of these assessment pieces and a full mouth, preventive cleaning and an exam and reschedule the next appointment. In health, an hour is enough time. Most of us have an hour for a prophy appointment. I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. An hour is enough time. Let it out. An hour is enough time. It is not enough time for a patient that needs more than just a prophy. And if 90% of our patients are spending 90% of their time with us, and we're not doing what they need, or we're doing what they need without consent and running behind schedule and a lack of transparency, then that's keeping the ceiling on our career. It's making us sweaty. It's not what we need to thrive and bloom the way we want to. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is the big full mouth perio chart, complete with furcation grade, gingival margin discrepancies, and bleeding points. Each and every tooth needs 6 points documented of either having bleeding or not having bleeding, and why. The fact of the matter is bleeding is our indication that there is active infection happening. If there's infection happening, then we need to do something to mitigate the effects of that infection, which is get rid of it. We don't want that infection, and we know just how to get rid of that infection. Now, one of the things that I want to spend a minute with you guys about is the fact that if you do not have an assistant, feeling like you have to chart for the whole mouth is very overwhelming. And we're going to do some numbers at the end of this presentation that will show why the practice wants us to be operating at our highest capacity, and why potentially adding a team member to the mix would be so helpful. I have a dental hygiene assistant now. I haven't always, and it is a game changer event. So more on that on another time, but you can do all of this on your own. And I know that a lot of us are doing it on our own. And I mean, some of the days that I work, I definitely don't have an assistant every day either. So I get it. I know that it feels overwhelming, but this yellow ticket is our guide to getting the most exquisite care for our patient. And that's the whole reason why we're a dental hygienist anyway, right? We cannot do this list if we don't have the support of the whole team. And so that's why I wanted to take a minute and just say, hey, here's an option. If you feel like this is super overwhelming, we do have ways to essentially pay for that extra team member that can be really helpful to you. If you want to talk more about that, you are more than welcome to instant message me or reach out at stellar-outcomes@outlook.com. I'd be happy to show you how to present that idea and really have it go well. I've helped a lot of offices get hygiene and sterilization assistants in place. And for you busy practices, this is a game changer. You will be so happy to have this. Okay, number 3, when we're talking about how to have the perfect combination of sun and bees and light and soil, communication is our third most important ingredient to having a phenomenal dental hygiene career, to having that powerful practice. I want you to think about your favorite 4th grader. Whoever that favorite 4th grader is, sit them down in your chair. This favorite 4th grader has to be able to understand everything that you tell them. If we talk in dental ease to our patients, they aren't going to get any of it. But if we become so confident in the way that we communicate to our patients, that we know the information so well that we can put it in terms that even a 4th grader can understand, our patients are going to have the ability to diagnose their own gum disease. Oh my gosh, you guys, whoa, I love doing it like this. So as you can see on the top right corner of your screen, there is a bone that has a thick cortical bone, right, that goes down, over, and up in between tooth 13 and 14. And you can see that that bone looks pretty great. And you could talk to the patient about the cortico bone and what it should look like, and then the spongy bone under the cancellous bone underneath. Or you could say this thick white line should go down, over, and up. And on the bottom, it's up, over, and down. Do you see that gray fuzzy line? That's where the bone has lost strength. Do you see what I did? I took those intense dental words, kicked them out, and said, this thick white line should go up, over, and down, or down, over, and up. And what's so cool about this is that same philosophy works for caries. The enamel, that thick white line, should go up, over, and down, or down, over, and up. It's fantastic news. You want the whole chapter of periodontology? 1 to 3 millimeters is normal, and healthy gums don't bleed. When I start calling out or writing down on my own scratch piece of paper for a chart, and I say the numbers and where the bleeding points are, the patient hears 1 to 3 is normal and healthy gums don't bleed. And so they hear all these things that are outside of normal. And by the time I sit them up and we look at the x-rays, and the bone should go up, over, and down, and I had bleeding spots in more than 3 millimeters, guess what, you guys? We are no longer diagnosing gum disease. Our patients are diagnosing their own stinking gum disease or decay, either way. How exciting is that? And when patients want to know, like, why you're talking about the medical history, you say, well, our mouth is connected to our body. And so for me to take good care of your mouth, we also have to have a great plan for your body, because your body is what's controlling how your mouth is responding. Whoa, yay, yes. You guys, this is fantastic, because we now have the opportunity to not be responsible for our patients being upset with us about their gum disease. Gone are the days where we have to tell them they have gum disease and that they need treatment. If you set yourself up as the expert, are working well with your team so that the things that you're saying, the team is agreeing with, you guys have your plan for what's gum disease and what's not, et cetera, et cetera. And then we get to this communication piece, and the patient is able to diagnose their own gum disease or cavities When you sit them up and have this conversation, eye to eye, knee to knee, or belly button to belly button, maybe you're standing up, I don't know. Your patient looks at you in the face and they say, Brandy, what are we going to do? Voila. All that stress that I used to have when I would tell people that they have gum disease and that they need to spend money on a cleaning, a deep cleaning, that's gone. I don't tell my patients that they have gum disease anymore. They tell me. How fantastic is that? I love to share this piece because it is life-changing for us as clinicians. When we are no longer responsible for telling our patients and diagnosing their gum disease, they are responsible for diagnosing and understanding and seeking the treatment for their own. It totally changes the dynamic. And then they are able to look at you and say, hey, Brandy, what are we going to do? And you say, oh, you know what? I have just the thing. Here's my best recommendation for you. And that's a line I would love for you to take from this course today. If you get nothing else from me, when you talk to your patients and you look at them in the eye and you say, Bob, my best recommendation for you is blank, they're going to hear you and they're going to appreciate that you are doing everything that you can to take exquisite care of them. People want to know what's in it for them, and people want to know that you care about them. And when you set yourself up as the expert and then the expert says, yo, this is my best recommendation, patients are excited to jump on board with it. Now, we'll talk another day about how you can mitigate some of the financial concerns that occur whenever we're moving someone from appropriate to scaling and root planing. And we have some really great tips and tricks for you on that. But today, let's just focus on the idea that part of having incredible synergy that is taking your career and your practice to the most powerful level possible is this communication piece. It really is going to change your life. And when your patients get to pick, then they follow through, because what do? Whatever we value. So let's take a moment right here and stop and think about, what does this mean for the exams with our doctors? We know that we are able to do so many great pieces and parts of the assessment. In Idaho, the law stipulates that the doctor has to be the official diagnoser of the disease, period, right? But since we're spending 90% of the time with 90% of the patients, we have the opportunity to complete this phenomenal assessment that is absolutely done by the time the doctor comes into the room to do the exam. I would invite every single person in here to think about when they do their exam, when you have your doctor come in and do your exam. A lot of offices wait till the end. And I say, kick that to the curb. Have that exam any time after the assessment is complete. And by assessment, I mean including cavities, like all of those pieces, medical history, blood pressure, radiographs, oral cancer screening, and periodontal chart. All of those things need to be done completely so that when the doctor comes in, they can say, hello, how's it going? And have a real connective conversation with the patient that confirms all the findings that you have so far. This is your chance to be reinforced as the expert, and it's also your chance to set the doctor up as the expert that you also trust, because you've just spent all this time gaining the patient's trust. Now we want to be able to continue that synergy by having the doctor come in and say, yes, I agree. If you're going to go to the soda barn every day, then you should consider drinking that whole soda at lunchtime, because there are quite a few cavities that are happening right now, and we're going to want to fix those. So the patient has gained their trust with you. Now the doctor comes in and she is saying the same thing that you're saying. And so you now have confirmed that together you guys are working on a team and that you both know what you're talking about. And the patient is very smart to trust us because we're working together and we're all saying the same dang thing. The other great piece about this is one of the things that makes us as dental hygienists so incredibly valuable to our practices, is the fact that we can have all this stuff done. We know how to do this. We're excited and educated in a way that we can have the assessment completely done. Sit down. If it's a more advanced treatment plan, obviously it's going to take another minute to do the exam, but we are now in this situation where the doctor can come in and connect with the patient instead of doing all of the diagnosing, treatment planning, and education, and actually connect to the patient, which is a very small piece time-wise of the appointment, but a gigantic reason for that patient to keep coming back, because what's happening all over, we're seeing advertisements for other dentists. And in Idaho, we're always in the top 3 states in the United States that has the most dentists per capita. What does that mean? Well, in plain words, it means that people have choices. They don't have to go to you because they've always gone to you. So why not set you and your doctor up as the place to be? This is a place that I come and get my teeth done, that I seek oral care because I trust them and I like them and they spend time with me. So you are able to take this opportunity to solidify that relationship between the patient and the doctor, because you have taken out the need for them to spend more time with the exam, and they're spending less time on the exam and more time connecting with the patient, which is phenomenal. And again, now we're still raising the roof to the top of our abilities, kicking that ceiling off, because we're the hygienists that doctor can't live without. We're the right-hand man. And believe, if there's 3 or 4 or 5 of us in the practice and we are the right-hand women, men, whatever, right-hand man, if we are that in every hygiene operatory, you can imagine that excited, awesome synergy is just bubbling over. And when patients come in, they notice stuff like that. They may not be able to put their finger on why they love coming, but when you're all working like that, the energy is big and fantastic and people want to be there. And since we have the most dentists per capita, top 3 every year, we absolutely want to be the place that patients want to come, because we want those full chairs. Now, we don't want to be doing sad bloody prophies all day because we're trying to get people in and out, but that's where our assessment comes in, right? We're going to not negotiate assessment so that we have the opportunity to have the time that we need to take exquisite care of the patient. Moving right along. So we have some barriers to success. Every day of the week, there are absolutely things that make it difficult to survive and thrive the way that we would like to. So let's talk about a few of those. We're going to have some really candid conversation right now about the things that are hard. One of the things that's hard is that feeling of the dental hygienist against the doctor. The second thing that's difficult is the doctor against the hygienist. We talked a little bit about that earlier, but the fact of the matter is that we are not a team. We are the team. Dental hygienists everywhere. We are gum specialists and preventive specialists, and we have a big bag of awesome that is fantastic. Our education and our license allows us to do so many wonderful things, and there is no limit to what we want to do if we're willing to commit to that idea. It doesn't matter if you're in private practice or public health or an educator. If you want to do more, there are ways to take the ceiling off of what you're doing and do more, okay? What is hindering us from being able to do more is having that constant source of contention. The contention that says, a power struggle is fun and I disagree with you. And those are the things that are getting in our way. The dentists are our teammates. We are their teammates. We have to take the time to become so confident in one another that the group work, the teamwork is effortless. We have to value each other as human beings and as professionals. And we've seen in the last several months that there are some scary things about how dentistry operates right now. We have had a lot of reason to be upset and worried, but if we take out the contention between the doctors and the hygienists, then we open up the door to be the team. Not just a team, but the team. We are the team. The next item that I see happen frequently is the dental hygienist against the team. What I mean by that is the dental hygienist expects our schedule to be full, our rooms to be turned over, and we expect the whole team to take care of us with little reciprocation, if any. I know that's none of you today, but I see it all the time. So if you have a friend that's like that, then I would invite you to take this moment to shoot a little text and say, hey, hygiene friend, let's have a little chat about how we can support our team. And let's make a couple of goals to how we can do a good job of being a great team member. Because again, some of those little things that we know are helpful to the rest of our team only take an extra second to do. And if you do those helpful things for your teammates, what are they going to do? Anything for you, right? And so that makes you an incredible member of the team for which everyone wants to support. And you can imagine that when the whole team is working together better, we're able to bloom as a practice or as an education system. And so let's really work on that. The next thing that I know is hard for all of us, and it's the number one thing that keeps going through your mind as we talk about the assessment pieces that we cannot skip is time. I'm going to reiterate the fact that in health, 1 hour is enough time for almost every prophy patient. I am a talker. You guys know me. You know that I love to talk and I can talk all day long. But I get done early. I get done early and I do a really thorough job. I don't get done early when there's not enough time to take the care that the patient needs. So 1 hour is what I have scheduled for a prophy. I have 50 minutes for a child prophy, unless they're, brothers and sisters and wee ones, but we digress. I have 1 hour for an adult prophy and 15 minutes for a child prophy. That is enough time to take exquisite care of each and every one of those patients, minus a couple of outliers. We all have that special education patient that has a hard time with whatever piece and part of the dental visit that prohibits an hour from being enough time. When I have a patient that's an outlier but still a prophy, I still schedule extra time for them. If a patient comes in that has autism and they are, nervous until you get to a certain part and then they warm up and you know that appointment's going to take you an extra 15 minutes minimum, I schedule that hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half, and I make sure to give myself plenty of time. This is okay with my team because they know that the business end of it is still going to be taken care of. I'm not sitting back there just twiddling my thumbs and making sure that I have an easy day. I am dedicated to the health of my patients. And sometimes what we do for a patient, the least important thing is picking and scratching their teeth. Okay, so the next things that can be difficult is the knowledge and application of the information that we're talking about today. There are so many resources out there for you to be able to train your team, your other hygienists in your practices, your front office, your dentist, and your other hygienists. We know that there is free training on the internet for all kinds of things everywhere. There is also lots and lots of resources of people and companies that specifically do trainings for the teams, so the team is able to function and thrive and survive and continue their growth, to continue to take that ceiling off of what the potential of the practice or the career may be. Obviously, that's why people like me have a job. So that knowledge and application can be very difficult if you didn't learn it in school or you've been in a practice where this isn't the normal. So don't feel bad about that, but seek out help. There isn't anyone that does this sort of thing that doesn't want to have a conversation with you. Meaning that if you get in touch with anyone that specializes in this or any of your friends that have a practice that runs like this, they're going to want to give you the tips and tricks to be able to train your team for this. And again, I want to invite each and every one of us to schedule a lunch and learn and be the leader and say, hey, you guys, we have got some good work to do to have better days and more success in our practice in our life. And this is how we're going to do it. Do you have any ideas to help contribute to this? And a lot of people are going to be like, oh no, that's great, I'm in. And then some people will be like, well, what if we do this? And then you start all working together and the excitement level just raises through the roof. And pretty soon everyone's having a great time. And now not only are you being the leader, but you also have your team members contributing to the greater good. And the team that's contributing to the greater good is the team that wants to show up and have a good day, and is the team that's helping you master your day as well. The last thing we touched on a little bit already, I have a lot of people say, oh, my patients don't listen to me. My patients, I've been trying to get them to floss for years, but here's the deal. Today, I will stand up and argue with every single person that would be willing to say that it's our patient's fault, because I have previously had the patients that were at fault. And when I took a magnifying glass to why it was their fault, that magnifying glass turned into a mirror every dang time. Every time. This is why. Remember we talked about how our patient has to think that we're the expert and they have to be able to understand us? Well, when my patients were the problem, I was not giving them the tools that they needed to diagnose their own gum disease and to be connected to their own health. And so because I was not giving them the opportunity to, number one, trust me, number two, understand what was happening in their own mouth, they weren't able to have any information to go on. So all they heard was the Charlie Brown teacher telling them that they should floss more and come in 6 months and we'll check it again. When really what they should be hearing is, oh, here's a tool. Oh, this gum disease is real and it's in my mouth. What are we going to do about it, right? There are two very different scenarios there. So as I take my magnifying glass / mirror, I realize that the problem really did lie within me. And you've seen my journey since then. Our patients are not the problem almost all the time. The problem is they do not have the tools that they need to make quality decisions for their own health. Friends, we're the tool belt. We're the tool givers. We're the creator and the dispenser of tools. So let's give our patients these tools so that they are not stuck in the cactus, not wondering why on earth their gums are bleeding, and not convinced that you're just some nurse. Okay, this one is really big. Do you guys see all this rebar on the paper? This is key. We absolutely, as a team, have to reinforce what one another is doing. Remember we talked about that plant that had been blown by the winds of miscommunication? Well, this is it right here. This is the wind. The rebar, the reinforcement of each team member to the next, is how we protect the synergy and the growth and the blooming of our plants and our practice and our career. We have to reinforce one another. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you have a patient convinced that they have gum disease, your dentist cannot sit down and tell you that they don't, or that we're going to check it in 6 months. If your doctor says that a patient needs a crown, you can't say, no, 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 no. If you schedule a patient for scaling and root planing and the front office says, oh, your insurance isn't going to pay for that, and I don't want to take the time to manage that. No, all of those things are the opposite of reinforcing one another. This teamwork, the number one thing that we needed to be able to have synergy and to bloom and to take the ceiling off was cut off without a lack of reinforcement. Okay, so we have to reinforce one another with what we're doing. We have to reinforce the other hygienists. That's a hard one. What if the hygienist before you has been saying that everything's fine and there's no problem here? And the patient sits in your mouth and you're like, or sits in your chair and opens their mouth and you say, oh, well, Brandy's just not that good of a hygienist. No, that helps the patient lose confidence in the whole team. So what do when we were going to make a new change? We say, oh gosh, what we now know is blank, and you start talking about inflammation and infection. And you say, what we're doing isn't working. We need a new game plan. So you don't have to throw Brandy under the bus. Maybe Brandy didn't, maybe it looks different last time. Who knows? Or maybe Brandy didn't know. Maybe Brandy did not have the tools to be able to take that patient to the next level of health. But good news is you and Brandy are going to lunch next week. Hi, sounds like super fun. I will be there. And we are not doing it like that anymore. One of the biggest things that we have to learn from the entire experience with the world's response to the coronavirus is when you have something that's not working, it's okay to say, gosh, that didn't work out and that wasn't my best job. And even though I tried really hard, it didn't work. And so now I'm going to suck up my pride, say that it didn't work, and get a plan for what's to come next. This is our chance in our dental careers and in our personal lives to say, you know what, we have been doing our best with the knowledge and information that we have at the time. We now know better, so we're going to do better. And today, we're working on how to do better. And that teamwork, that reinforcing one another in their efforts that's our answer. This is how we do it. So let's do a little bit of math. Because the fact of the matter is a dental practice is a business. And at the end of the day, when we're going to make a change, we're going to make a big shift into having a really powerful hygiene program, we have to know that there is a financial benefit to doing it this way, which is good because we talked about, like, do you want to make more money? Because if you do, I'm going to show you how we do it. So if you take what we've talked about today, and this is again for you private practice hygienists, and you add one additional scaling and root planing procedure per day, and there's 2 of you that work in the office, and you guys work 4 days a week, so that's 16 days a month. You can see right here on this slide that equals $7,680 for a month for a 1-year increase of $92,160. Now we know that with insurance adjustments, let's just pretend like all of your patients are on the average insurance company, or your fee for service discount is 1/3. Let's just say that we're going to lose 1/3 of that. After typical adjustments, $61,000 additional profit that goes home to the practice. If you're the hygienist that is taking exquisite care of your patients, and we know that our patients have gum disease, but a lot of them are not being treated, and then we take care of our patients, and so then are treating the gum disease, and then the practice is making more money. Well, that opens up a whole nother conversation of what our compensation might look like. And if you're the hygienist that the practice can't live without, that conversation is going to go really well. Now, I have to take this time to share with you that when you are looking at having an incredible career and an incredible practice, if your goal starts with the money, all of this will fall flat on its face. The reason to do what we're doing is for happiness and health. I've seen it over and over. If you come from a place of abundance, come from a place of hope, and come from a place of care, and then you add in our teamwork, our assessment, quality and communication, and reinforce one another within our team, you're going to succeed. We're going to have the most opportunity to take exquisite care of our patients, or to advance our profession, or to educate the next group of dental hygiene professionals. The reason has to be for goodness. But the benefit of doing it for goodness is the financial piece always fills in the gap, and it is bigger and brighter than you could have imagined just doing it your old way, just doing it the way that we've always done it, the way that I used to do it. When we stop and let the factors that we are limiting ourselves to disappear and operate from this place of abundance and hope, and we're going to take exquisite care of our patients or our students or whatever, the financial piece takes care of itself. So we go back here and we say, if you only do one extra thing per day, you've got $61,000 extra in your practice. Well, what does that mean for the type of equipment that you can have? What does that mean for having a hygiene assistant? What does that mean for your bottom line? Now, I'm not saying that you should say, I'm going to make you this much more money and then I want to take it all home. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that there is room for growth financially that is benefited and substantiated by doing the things that we talked about today. I know that each and every one of us has the opportunity to have a healthier, happier career, including a more financially successful, happy, healthy career. So that's why I want to take a minute talking about the finances, because it can't be your why, but it can be your awesome side benefit. So I have a teamwork worksheet to help you on your journey to this really wonderful idea of having a powerful hygiene program and powerful practice. The Stellar Infusion is your code word to text to 22828. That will get you this team worksheet that you can do in a morning huddle or at a lunchtime. This, again, is not rocket science, but is so effective. You guys, join the mailing list. I will send goodness periodically, and you can also just get this teamwork worksheet and have that be the end of it. If there's anything that I've talked about today that you would like some more resources on, please reach out to me. I am, as always, your biggest and brightest supporter. I love you, dental hygienists. I love being a colleague of yours. And I love the fact that we have so much opportunity to grow and flourish and bloom like crazy. At the end of the day, I would like to leave you with this thought. Both of these plants are beautiful. They both give me joy. One gives me hope and inspiration to be my very best self. So bright, and to seek synergy and to not worry about what might be ahead in the winter that's to come. This other plant reminds me that mediocrity is always an option too. If we aren't careful to be growing, then the winds of miscommunication or the winds of not applying our best selves can make the plant, make our careers, make our practices just not reach their full potential. So when you leave today, oh, you need your credit. Here's your code. Your code is October 2020. Capital O, little CTOBER, the numbers 2020. When you leave today with that code and you go and type it in, I hope that you think, I am going to bloom like crazy. I'm going to bloom with sheer abandon for anything else that might be going on around me. And I refuse to be the hygienist that's trapped and worn out and exhausted. I am absolutely the hygienist that is flourishing like crazy. And because I'm willing to be that hygienist and put in the effort that it takes, I'm going to have the best days possible. So I want to thank you for your time today. I want to encourage you to be that blooming, flourishing hygienist in whatever capacity that you are. And I want you to know that I am so excited for what's to come for us. We have an opportunity right now like no other. I know that each and every one of us can create our own powerful hygiene programs in our own offices and have the most powerful practice and have the best time enjoying our careers. I love you all so much. And I have one more invitation for you. Depending on when you watch this, I am having a study club that I would like to invite you to. Dr. Ronnie Brown and I are going to be talking about the most important conversation that's missing from our repertoire right now. Most of us did not learn in school how to communicate well with patients who struggle with addiction. Ronnie is an expert at this. She is a dentist in California that works primarily, or at a prison, that works primarily with people that struggle with methamphetamines and addictions of all kinds. So you're not going to want to miss this. And because you joined for IDHA, you can see the code down at the bottom right of your screen is I will be there. When you go to brandyhookerevans.com and get a ticket, type in that code and your ticket is on me. I would love for you to join the conversation, and please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me for more information on any of the topics that we talked about. Today was a very short and sweet plan for us all to be super powerful, and I'm grateful that you took your time to gain a credit with me, and I hope to see you at the study club and at a live event ASAP. Thank you all.